future.
I'm sure lots of his fans would love to see that as we look at potential players that we have for this series. Nalguidan and Fr0zen both going to be going at it here, and the bans are indeed in. Fr0zen has his Tempo Mage, his Face Hunter, a deck that we've seen a little bit of, not too much, but more than happy to see some aggro decks get a little bit of play, since for a little bit of time it seemed like they were kind of fading out, but definitely seems like they are coming a little bit back right now in the meta game. As we go into Turtle Mage versus the Control Priest.
Nice matchup to start things off.
Oh yeah.
This one is can get tough for the Priest, just because a lot of the tempo tools they have don't do too much against Turtle Mage, because they're not completely reliant on like this board presence to win the game. You do have to find ways to tempo with just minion pressure, and you have to do it pretty early on into the game, because you can't give the Turtle Mage time to set up their full combo. And Nalguidan's got a decent start to be able to combat already whatever Fr0zen's going to start with. Yeah, Draconic Studies pretty much just want everything that generates power onto the board. This one's a little tougher. Ray is dead because of the two. I guess so. You just get more value from your deck, but honestly, with both Draconic Studies already pulled, like I guess you can find like Apotheosis, things like that. But
yeah,
still
I think
decent
it's
pickup.
Right now, it's exactly as you described. Fr0zen not even acknowledging this Firebrand. Quick plays, very fast pace. Nalguidan picks up one potion. Is it time to play the Chillwind Yeti? Or would you rather just simply... I mean, the nice thing about the potion, too, is that it does end up activating the Firebrand, which is
I wonder.
not exactly, I'm sure, the way he wanted to do that, but it helps.
Yeah, so with one potion drawn, you do have to consider carefully the Lore Keeper Polkelt. Because second potion draw is... I feel like it would be too hard to beat Priest with double potion draw. More so than other decks, because Priests do have tools to stall at the game quite substantially. And live out your potion value. But if you play Lore Keeper Polkelt early in the game, like this, then it means you're hindering your ability to play for tempo, because you're just going to be drawing the expensive side of your deck. It also puts just a straight up clock on your second potion draw. So it means you have to get the combo rolling by the time you draw that second potion, which he's already drawn one of his Tertolans, he's already drawn his Jandis, he's already drawn some of the expensive cards from his deck. So it might be a little bit difficult for him to bank on that, and I think he needs to just take the risk of drawing second potion and wait a little bit before Lore Keeper Polkelt comes down.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, and I think that from the perspective of Nalguidan, it's unlikely for that thing to go terribly wrong. Unlikely does not mean impossible, though. As Fr0zen does look for Apotheosis, finds it. Opportunity to continue tempo. Really fast plays coming out from Fr0zen here. Seems like he's just a man on a mission, or he just does not want to be bothered by Turtle Mage versus Priest. Maybe he feels like there's a bigger fish to fry, which I would not blame him if that was what he thought.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's really too much merit in, trying to respect this Firebrand too much, just because this deck doesn't really play spells. Even though he got a spell from Wand Thief, it may not be good to use, and if he trades into it, he's effectively dealing the damage anyway. Since Nalguidan can't trade with the Firebrand and then get the Spell Burst off. You can get Spell Burst off and then trade, but maybe it doesn't line up super well on this board because of the Mind Flayer Karsh. So I like the way he's playing it. You do have to keep up the tempo, force the Turtle Mage to play, try and make them play suboptimally, and try and delay the combo, force them to use like important phrases to get out of this one.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And now you can see Nalguidan finally destroying and wiping the board clean. But Fr0zen is not going to stop. Immediately thinking about how he can capitalize off this Raise Dead to potentially get back either those clerics or his Mind Flayer. Maybe even the fire. We'll see. Okay. I mean, Firebrand wins the board again. You can play Draconic Studies right afterwards. That does feel... It does feel like his best tempo play, but like, what do you combo with it? Is it Draconic Studies?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, he'll have the ability to play, if he goes for that play, he can play Alexstrasza next turn.
Right.
Because it would be discounted to 7, he could coin it out. But opts to go for the Wild Pyromancer Apotheosis instead. This is just straight up like the most power he could have on board. And there's second potion draw for Nalguidan, and you know that's what we talked about. It's like the risk, right?
Right.
Of not playing the Lorekeeper Polkelt earlier. That's pretty brutal, but that's the failsafe of the deck. We haven't seen it for a while, and the last time we saw it, I think it was ETC, and he won. But against Priest, that just it feels like it doesn't happen very often because they can delay so much. And Nalguidan, I mean, he's in shambles right now. Like, honestly, in this position,
I feel him. I feel him real bad because, I mean, that's a situation that you're trying to avoid, and it's the exact card that you didn't want to see. You see the way Nalguidan's even sitting up in his chair. He feels defeated, and he's going to have to get creative. But if there's a way to demonstrate your mastery of the deck, I mean, now's the time, right? Like, this is definitely one of the highest scale cap decks out there when you draw a double potion. When you have potion in your deck, there's some moments and there's some games where it just feels like you can't ever lose.
Yeah.
This one is tricky.
Yeah, the mastery of the deck comes from being able to win from situations where you can't just mindlessly combo turn after turn, right? So this is one of those situations. It can even come when you have potion in your deck, but you're playing against like an aggressive deck that won't let you combo. That can sometimes happen as well, but this is the true test. And there are some crazy ways to win, right? He does have Astromancer Solarian in his deck, although he did use Lorekeeper Polkelt. So it's going to be a long time before that can happen. So like this is one of those situations where it's hard to find a way to win because all of the cheap stuff that he would want to use these potions that are in his hand on are in the bottom of his deck.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst possible hand you could have, is double Tortolan Pilgrim and double Potion of Illusion with a Lorekeeper Polkelt played. Because it means that you're not playing these potions for a very long time. And he has to play Janus Brav with a Wild Pyromancer on board.
Right.
Which I guess he can't help not doing, because if he doesn't, he just passes turn after turn after turn. But
it just shows you the amount of desperation that Nalguidan has, because he can't find a way to win if he doesn't get onto the board and just lets Priest extend onto the board with tempo. But I mean, Fr0zen can really take things super slow. I guess question becomes whether or not Fr0zen feel when he gets that read exactly. But I mean, it doesn't look like a position where Nalguidan will be able to win here. I do like the steal onto the Thanos Commander and then pushing for damage here. You can even heal up a minion or play this Cobalt Spellkin. Sequencing to make sure he doesn't take unnecessary damage. And that's a lethal setup.
Yeah. Well, Blizzard is a better draw than Kartut in this position, I feel.
Right.
You're in my
Having access to that might help.
Tortolan, Blizzard, and then... So... Fr0zen did get some information there. Maybe he can now narrow it down to double potion being drawn. I don't think it really changes his game plan too much. I think no matter which way you slice it, he doesn't want to let this Tortolan Pilgrim live if he can help it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I can't really think of too many ways that Nalguidan can win, because he's at 14 and he knows his draws. And the thing is, Fr0zen also knows his draws. At least not his exact draws, but the cost. So with a Blizzard in hand, next turn he's going to draw the second Blizzard. And he's going to draw card two defenders. And then Center of War Mage, Bone Wraiths. Like, can you piece together some form of win condition with those cards specifically? No, because they're all just buying you time, which none of those are progressing a kill. Fatigue? I don't think so. That seems like the least likely of all the options.
Yeah, I was going to say, funnily enough, Fr0zen has some really fun plays with Mind Vision available to him.
Well, he could get information, because if he Mind Visions and gets a potion, and he saw 2 spells, I guess it's not full information, because he could have 1 potion, double Frost Nova.
Right, exactly. I think that the line that Fr0zen's taking here just seems universally a lot more flexible, and like him just trying to set up boards where it's like, you have to keep freezing, you have to keep doing this. But Fr0zen should know now that Nalguidan is in a really bad spot, having to play that second Tortolan Pilgrim. And not copy it. So, if I'm Fr0zen, I'm looking for a way to kill. And I think he's looking exactly into the hand, sees a Blizzard, which he kind of knew was going to be in the hand anyway, so it doesn't really give him that much information.
Doesn't want to hold on to these minions at all, because he'd rather have a Twilight Drake on the board than either of these 2 things. I honestly think you can get like a little bit heavier there and keep around your Phalanx Commander, more power on board. But at this point, it doesn't matter, because now Fr0zen knows, with both Tortolans played, only 2 spells both times from the Tortolan Pilgrims. I mean, just both Tortolans played, right? And Nalguidan doesn't have a choice but to keep trying to stall this game out and get to those more impactful cards in his deck. But again, he's got card 2 Defender next turn, then Sun River War Mage. Then Bone Wraiths, then Imprisoned Observers, then Frost Novas and Earthring Farseers. Like, by the time he gets to cards where he can piece together win condition, like Astromancer Solarian or Wand Thief, it's probably got to be Astromancer, right? He probably, like, the only win condition I can see is him getting to Astromancer. And then
does he even get
Potion
there,
of Illusioning and getting multiple shuffles into his deck, and then them dealing enough damage.
That's the thing, though. I don't think he's going to get the time to do that. He's going to immediately have to cash in the Potion of Illusion right now. Oh, gosh. This just feels so bad for Nalguidan.
You think this is your time?
And Murzon, which, by the way, copies the Murzon. A little funny. Thanks, we can keep doing that.
Just doing it back to him. Oh, jeez.
And then he'll get 2 more Murzons and 2 more Alex Straws. He actually has complete hand space. What? Wow. Such beams. This is so silly.
In a weird way, it's like poetic justice that is happening to a Turtle Mage.
To Turtle Mage, yeah.
Yeah, but like it's off the back of Nalguidan having probably like the worst possible scenario happen. And not even just talking about the double potion, just the way his hand played out alongside the double potion. Like having Tortolan in hand already, having to play Lord Keeper Polkelt to contest the board, and which, you know, made it so that he didn't really have a way to good use of the potions anyway. As rough as it sounds, and as much as I hate always kind of falling to this might, just for sake of sanity, be a concede.
Oh man, poor Nalguidan.
Time runs out.
I think it might be. It's definitely a situation where if you're Nalguidan, you're feeling like everything's against you. Blizzard can potentially stall out, but still not going to change the bottom line of him struggling to find a way to actually deal damage to the priest. It's all about like stalling at this point.
You think this is your time? It is mine.
Bro's just like, I want this game. He's whipping his cards out. At this point, it's like essentially a 100% victory. I don't think there's a way for Nalguidan to win this one. I just don't think he can even get to Astromancer, right? Like, there's just no way.
Yeah, I would say that the Astromancer Solarian right now is like just way too late, because even if he gets the Astromancer, he would have to find ways to get that draw, and he's already played his Lore Keeper. So
Yeah.
I was thinking that the only way he could do that. Nalguidan has left the building.
I bring life.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the only way you can get that consistently would be to essentially get the Lore Keeper Polk out, but you know, that's not gonna do anything. Fr0zen gets a Game 1 victory over Nalguidan, and pretty much cruises to that, because there wasn't really much to really talk about there in that game, outside the fact that he drew both of those potions and couldn't really do anything afterwards to stop that kind of pressure. And as you said, there's that built-in failure rate, and you got to be worried, right? Because there's that Face Hunter still, which is really problematic for Turtle Mage to stop that damage coming in through consistently. And I always am a little bit afraid of Tempo Mage in the Turtle Mage matchup, because they have a lot of ways to generate damage from hand in that game, and be very selective, right? Like from the very get-go, they can be picking up direct damage at any juncture.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough time, and I don't blame Nalguidan for trying to step away for a second and reset his mind, because at least judging from what he's been saying on social media and stuff, this has been consistently happening to him. Now, obviously, a lot of players say that across the course of a season of GM, where it feels like, oh, my plays are on point, but I'm not drawing well. But if that's how things are going, then that's just rough, right? But that's the risk you take when you bring a deck like Turtle Mage. Even though it doesn't happen a ton, it does happen. You have ways to prevent it with Lore Keeper Polkelt, with Sphere of Sapience, by crafting your mulligan plan around potions. It still can happen, and you just hate to see it when it's a match like that, where even double potion draw, there's almost no chance that you can win, and the game's just not competitive. But Nalguidan is going to switch things up. He is going to go to Soul Demon Hunter, which does have some great matchups against the remaining two decks from Fr0zen. Both Face Hunter and Tempo Mage, I think, are two of Soul Demon Hunter's best matchups, at least on paper. But it's Face Hunter, and Face Hunter can do some nasty, nasty things
Let the hunt begin.
in Hearthstone games.
Oh yeah, it can win so quickly that you never even got a chance to get set up. But Soul Demon Hunter is pretty effective against the wide board that they can play early with the Initiates and the Wolpentingers, and have the Soul Shard Mystic, which is Nalguidan's full keep. I definitely like that, since you really need all those tools.
Yep.
To try and disarm the opponent.
Yeah. The biggest thing about this matchup, I think, is Fr0zen is playing Imprisoned Felmaws, which is honestly like one of the best cards against Soul Demon Hunter, because it doesn't die to Soul Shear, doesn't die to Shard Shatter Mystic. A lot of times they're if they are playing early minions, they're early minions that you get good trades over. If Imprisoned Felmaw doesn't go face, I'll want it to go face. So having the double Imprisoned Felmaw start is great for Fr0zen, because it doesn't give Nalguidan target for Soul Shear. Because at this point, Nalguidan is going to need a turn to shuffle in Soul Fragments, and then a turn to go to play Shard-Shatter Mystic. But the deck from Nalguidan also has a ton of healing, which is something that we need to know. Just Soul Fragments being in the deck, period. Aldraki Warblades, combined with all the, attack spells, Twin Slice, Chaos Strike, Soul Shard Lapidary, you can stabilize quite effectively. He does pick up Aldraki Warblades, but I am just worried with these Imprisoned Felmaws, because it looks like they will be dealing 10 damage to Nalguidan's face, and it's not like he has an easy time. Oh, geez, and Fr0zen gets to go Phase Stalker, Tour Guide, Hero Power. Looking at the secret spread from Fr0zen, he's got 1 Pack Tactics, 2 Freezing Trap, 1 Pressure Plate, which seems to be pretty standard. Sometimes you see 2 of either Pack Tactics, or Pressure Plate. But because he's playing Imprisoned Felmaws, which is not an automatic inclusion, by the way, there are some face hunters that cut it. He does have to cut some secrets somewhere, so he's just playing a lean 4.
Well, I mean, Nalguidan does have ways to deal with it with this Draki Warblade. Very big, important pickup. So I'm not really too worried about him. But yeah, you did mention how some of these secrets can be pretty important. And it's like whether or not Nalguidan has the mana to be able to play everything, right? Yep. Like he could, if he has the ability to go for these big sweeping turns, he's going to win the game. But it's all about whether or not the Face Hunter gives him time to do that. And at the current moment, it seems like Fr0zen's not really letting up. He's got to really away when he's going to be able to layer in this hero power versus play for tempo onto the board. And by playing a third minion, he makes Blade Dance a little bit harder to calculate for. And Nalguidan's really hoping that he does, because he does have the ability to play the Shard-Shatter Mystic and the Blade Dance this turn.
Quickly.
Yeah, we can see that playing this Phase Stalker just seems like the nuts.
It looks like it, but there's a lot of things to consider, and I like that Fr0zen's hesitating here, and I feel like he ends up going for this Phase Stalker, which you can't blame him for. And the nice thing, too, is that it kind of forces Nalguidan to be put in a tough situation here.
Well, actually, he wouldn't have had Blade Dance, Shard-Shatter Mystic, because he hasn't had an opportunity to shuffle in with Soul Shear yet. I mean, this turn he basically has to go Soul Shear plus Shard-Shatter Mystic regardless. But then he has to he would have to Soul Shear Imprisoned Felmaw, Shard-Shatter Mystic, then attack into the Phase Stalker, still leaving 5 power on board and taking a net 2 damage, so going down to 11. There's not really another option, but this is just bad, and he only has 1 Soul Fragment in the deck, so even like Skull to try and heal up.
Nothing but a bunch of big birds.
He's in trouble, and now Pack Tactics.
Pack Tactics!
Push 5. Down to just 6 health. Again, Nalguidan, he had a good opening hand. It's just, for this matchup, in this specific situation, it's hard for me to imagine a better hand from Fr0zen, to be honest. The only thing that would have made it better was if the secret that he pulled from his deck initially was Pack Tactics. That's the only way I could see this hand being better.
Yeah.
But now he's going to put him down to 2, which means Nalguidan, even if
Nalguidan's
he clears
dead.
the board, still needs to heal as well.
There's nothing
And
really
he's got
for
all 3
Nalguidan
secrets
to be able to make the comeback, though, right? Because he doesn't have the ability to gain life right now. And there's a nice little Christmas tree greeting him too, even if you're able to find a way to magically gain life in this position. I guess he could through Marrow Slicer and Consume Magic. But like, if you trade into stuff, as we mentioned, sums the 3/3 through the Pack Tactics.
Yeah, and you can't outcast the Consume Magic,
Nope.
so he can't even draw a card.
I guess.
I grow impatient.
No, he's. I think he's 100% dead. I don't think there's a way out.
No, okay, so you Blade Dance for 0, TJ.
Consume Magic into Soul Fragment and Aldraki Warblades.
I yield
Yes.
for now.
It would require a pretty specific and narrow set of cards drawn, but that will do it for game 2. Very quick. 2 quick games for Fr0zen's wins, and now has put Nalguidan on the back foot where it's just Nalguidan against a very tough matchup to beat 3 times in a row. To try to beat Mage 3 times when it's just so even across the field with some of its matchups that it does feel like Nalguidan's in a position where he's going to have to pray that Fr0zen's student at least draw a little bit less aggressive, because these starts have been so fast for Fr0zen that it feels like Nalguidan doesn't get any footing. He's been ending the game very quickly.
Yeah. I will say, though, that Tempo Mage is definitely beatable from all 3 of his decks. Soul Demon Hunter, I think that's a good matchup. Survival Druid, even, can be a fantastic matchup. Just because you present too big of threats too quickly for Mage to be able to deal with, because they do have some ramp-up time. And the last one being
the Turtle Mage.
Turtle Mage, yeah, that's right. Turtle Mage,
Yes.
which, you know, we talked about earlier how, you know, that matchup can be worrisome because Tempo Mage does have a lot of ways to generate direct damage. But at the same time, that's not guaranteed, right? And you need a lot of direct damage unless you're getting off to a quick start, which Turtle Mage honestly plays more of a tempo style than Tempo Mage, especially earlier on in a game.
True.
Which is kind of weird. You know, Tempo Mage is just a name we slap on it because similar decks in the past have been called Tempo Mage. But Small Spell Mage, which is, you know, what HS Replay calls it, I think is more accurate of a description because, you know, small spells are what it uses to get everything done. But we'll see. We are going to start off with Soul Demon Hunter first, which I think is his best matchup to start things off against the Tempo Mage. And a decent start, double Soul Jailer here, which he'll be able to Soul Jailer here, Power Soul Jailer. Oh, he throws one away. Okay. Oh, no, he didn't throw one away. He just played the first one so fast. I was like, wait, he only has 3 cards in his opening hand? That seems weird. Chaos Strike, great card as well, because that allows you to contest things early. Also draws a card.
Yeah. I think the Chaos Strike will be important if... oh, he's just going to play it right now. Really wants to deny the early card draw and abilities from Fr0zen. Do you think that's worth it all, or do you feel like it's more important to... just like, do you think that's important to deny here in this matchup?
I think so. Honestly, I've been playing Soul Demon Hunter a lot. It's probably the deck that I've played the most over, you know, the past 2 weeks, just because I've been expecting a lot in Grandmasters, and I played this matchup a lot in. I've also dug through the mulligan statistics for Soul Demon Hunter versus Tempo Mage, and Chaos Strike is like top 4 in mulligan win rate against Tempo Mage, almost no matter which way you slice it, coin, no coin. And it's not the case with Chaos Strike in other matchups, which kind of surprised me. Like, I was wondering, like, why is Chaos Strike so much more valuable against Tempo Mage than it is against any other deck? And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's just because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to limit their early board presence with spell damage minions, with, you know, Wandmaker, Ashman Solarian, with the lab partner, that type of thing. That's my guess, because that's what the statistics would tell me in that instance. So it is quite an interesting fact, an interesting statistic about the deck, and one that I've been learning as I go.
Yeah, and I think that those early game... Oh, wow. Just not hitting the Wandmaker at all. That's definitely a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, I think that those early game cards, like with the Demon Hunter, people like undervalue it because they think that's like something to help them when they have the weapon on it. So they're like, oh, I want to have Chaos Strike when I have a Draki Warblade, and I want to go with Blade Dance. But just having it as an early game stabilization tool against aggressive decks can be surprisingly clutch.
Yeah. And that's what I've found to be the case. A lot of direct damage
Hide behind your servants.
picked up from Fr0zen. It's not the Turtle Mage matchup that we were talking about where direct damage is meaningful, but it can be meaningful. It's just in this matchup in particular, a lot of times you don't have time for these really expensive direct damage spells be worthwhile, especially since if your hand is full of direct damage, it gives the Demon Hunter plenty of time to just like stay at 30 with all their healing, with all their soul fragments. So it's kind of like an added bonus at the end of a game, not something that you want early on that you can plan around.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I think the fact of the matter is right now, Nalguidan is once again kind of in an awkward spot, very reactive hand, and sees the Flame Ward, gets the bad news that he's going to be floating a lot of mana this turn unless he's willing to invest his Twin Slices right now, which does not seem like a particularly good idea.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And you could say, be results oriented and say, oh, why did he attack with that if it's Flame Ward? Well, randomly generated secret, it's 50-50 whether or not it's Flame Ward or Vaporize if what you're playing around, so pick your poison, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it honestly really doesn't matter in that case when it's completely random to try and call your opponent's bluff when it's just a randomly generated secret like that, so. Does net 1 damage, but yeah, this hand is starting to become a little bit awkward. It looks like he might have to second slice Blade Dance here, and then an attack. He could.
Oh, it's so bad. It feels so bad.
And Fr0zen also just gets
Soul Shear
another mana giant next turn.
Yeah, this gives a lot of information to Fr0zen, right? Like the fact that he's using these slices and he's attacking into it. It's like damage not going to face at all.
Yeah. Use Soul Shear instead, which I like. Gives him more opportunity to go with Soul Shard Lapidary Blade Dance next turn. Blade Dance is much more important if you're attacking the minion anyway, it's much more important of a card that Soul Shear is. So now if second Mana Giant is played, Nalguidan Solace an answer. It's an expensive answer health-wise, because he would have to take 5 damage again, or 8 damage again. It's still an answer nonetheless. Doesn't look like Fr0zen's going to go down that path, though. This is his second Mana Giant. He has a Conjurer's Calling in hand. Nalguidan is not playing super quickly. Because if Fr0zen plays Mana Giant here and it gets answered, it means that he's out of meaningful threats. Which is not a situation you want to be in with Mage without Sorcerer Apprentice Mana Cycle in hand, without meaningful threats in hand like Mana Giant. You're going to need multiple pieces, multiple spells in order to try and find a way to come back in the series or in the game. So, but it's got to be a breath of fresh air for Nalguidan to have a turn where he can kind of develop proactively, because otherwise he would have taken a lot of damage.
I do feel like we need to. Oh wow, that's a lot of respect being shown for the Kobold. That is a lot of respect for a 2/2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mind it.
Do you think it's you think it's that important to keep shutting it down? But like, I guess it does. I guess it's fine because Nalguidan has more card draw, right, with the Skull Gul'dan to generate more damage.
Yeah. Also, if you look at how things could have panned out, right? He leaves spell damage up on the board while giving his opponent an Arcane Missiles. His Glavon Adept was effectively at 2 health after that because the Kobold could have traded in, and you're giving him a 4 damage Arcane Missiles. So he's likely to just have a target for Arcane Missiles, trade off it anyway, and be able to get tempo, whereas this forced him to have an answer from hand to be able to deal with it. So I like it.
Okay. I mean, it just seemed like a very drastic reaction to it when there's just going to be a lot bigger fish. Oh no, and Natalie Celine off the Conjurer's Calling. Well, maybe the silver lining is if he draws a soul fragment.
I was like, what if he draws all of them? Right
yeah.
now? All right. He has 4 in his deck still. 4 in his deck. So he can comfortably play Soul Shard Lapidary and Shard Shatter Mystic if he wanted to. So let's see here. Soul Shard Lapidary plus Blade Dance, and then Attack and Glaive Bound.
Demons.
Honestly, that seems fantastic.
Right.
That clears the board, develops a 5/5 and a 6/4, and you only take 3 damage.
Yeah, I like it. I think it looks pretty solid and ends up even dumping some of the cards here that he can use that he wants to get to Skull Gul'dan. Very, very nice.
Yeah. This is better because he needs the damage, I think.
Yeah.
Now that he's sunk a lot of damage into minions, but again, he's neutralized all the threats from Fr0zen. Like, Fr0zen has Sorcerer Apprentice, but no way to capitalize on a Sorcerer Apprentice. He's got direct damage, but he needs to find a way to get 7 damage onto him as well before Pyroblast is even relevant.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of work to do for Fr0zen to be able to win this game, but he does have some pretty good draws off the top. Look at the remaining cards in his deck. He still has a Mana Cyclone. He still has a Natural Evocation in his deck. He still has Janus Bra, Frost Whisper, Shinvala. So he's got a lot of meaningful ways in his deck still to draw off the top and follow up. Well, I mean, this plays right into Flame Strike, but can't really account for that.
Nope. That's going to be a clear board, and Nalguidan is going to have to go back to the drawing board setting up damage here, as he does have his Glaive Bound of Death ready to go. How long will it take to get the Skull Gul'dan into Outcast position?
Until
If
Fr0zen plays minions.
Fr0zen DJ, 4 out of 11.
That's how long. Alright, let's start getting some weapon swings in here now. Pushing a little bit more damage. Bring him down to 15 here. Still has a good amount of damage still packed away in his deck. Still has a Marl Slice, or 2 Marl Slicers, still a Soul Shard Lapidary. Still has both of his Twin Slices. So, I mean, he's got a lot more than 15 left remaining in his deck. And it doesn't seem like Fr0zen's going to put Nalguidan on any type of meaningful clock just yet. Fr0zen has to worry about his own life total now as well, so he can't just try and hold on to all these things just in case he draws a Mana Cyclone. It just doesn't work that way.
Big
do you dump
damage
Blade
draw
Dance here
here,
just
though.
to activate Skull? Like,
I just want to kill him.
yeah.
And get that weapon equipped. Nalguidan's back at 28 life. Fr0zen needs to find something. Maybe this Primordial Studies can give him a taunt minion through the Violet Warden, but there's a Consume Magic ready to go.
Looking for the biggest minion possible to be able to have a Conjurer's Calling target. That ain't it, Chief.
That is really not it. Okay, so you get Hero Power, and then you have to Ray of Frost. The Soul Shard Lapidary. I guess you could do it twice and Hero Power the Lapidary afterwards.
Yeah.
Complete desperation here from Fr0zen.
As much power as this is for 4-drop, I honestly think maybe Astromancer Solarian is the choice from that Primordial Studies, just because, again, Fr0zen needs multiple turns to be able to set up some type of combo, but if he draws Solarian Prime and can like freeze the face and draw some cards or generate cards, that honestly seems like a better chance than trying to go for 4 drops and hoping that those get the job done. Because right now you're not worried about like losing the board. You're worried about dying. And additional board presence doesn't do much when you have no health. So go for the thing that has the chance to win you the game in other ways, maybe.
Okay.
Hard to say. I mean, at that point, like, if that's your win condition in the matchup, it doesn't matter what you do, honestly, but just a
Right.
thought.
Okay, well, I think that, I mean, you're probably right in the sense that that's like his only like out from here, but I mean, Nalguidan, regardless of kind of what Fr0zen's be able to do, just seems like he has just too much damage. You kind of called this, you said it at the very beginning, this is a bad matchup. See why. Nalguidan had a really slow start in a couple of different categories, and yet he's just going to die. Fr0zen with a quick concede. Nalguidan gets a much-needed victory, but his back's against the wall. I cannot lose any further. As a loss in this entire series would be a 1-3 division record, which is just not good. You put yourself in that relegation bracket. You put yourself in contention to just be auto-relegated because we do hit the bottom 2 seeds, seeds number 7 and 8. Don't even get a chance to play for a spot in Grandmasters for the following season.
Yeah. So still not a great position for Nalguidan, just because it's tough to beat a deck 3 times in a row. A deck as good and relatively consistent as the Temple Mage. So now gets to choose either Turtle Mage or his Malagos Druid to fight up against it, and it looks like he is going to go for Turtle Mage, or sorry, Survival Druid. He's going to go for Turtle Mage first and foremost, which, again, oddly enough, seems like it does have more tempo tools for the early game than actual Temple Mage does, with cards like Firebrand, Imprisoned Observer, even like putting Toss in the way. Bone Wraith, it's a very defensive card, but I would even put it in a tempo category because oftentimes what it does is protect your higher attack or more important minions by putting a very difficult to deal with taunt in the way. So we'll see. For Nalguidan's sake, I hope that we do get a standard straight up game and not another double potion game, as was the case against the Priest, even though this is one of the matchups where I think you can more reasonably piece together wins if you draw double potion than with some of the other matchups that he would go up against, specifically Priest, as we saw. But still, hoping for a straight up game. And this is the type of game where you want to generate those Pyroblasts, those Apexis Blasts, any blast. Any card with blast in the name.
Just search the word damage in the collection. You want that. Okay. Nalguidan has a Sphere of Sapience. There you go. So, no double potion draw.
Oh,
even has a Lord Keeper Polkelt.
That's the stuff. That's both of the anti-draw 2 potions cards that he has.
Right.
In fact, they're both anti-draw any potions because he has Sphere of Sapience on 1. And even if the game gives him potion both turns in a row, or even like 3 turns in a row, which is possible because he could go Sphere of Sapience, then potion would come out, he'd shuffle it on the bottom, then he'd play Astromancer Solarian, and then he would draw potion next turn, shuffle it on the bottom, but then Astromancer Solarian would get killed shuffling his deck, then he could draw potion again, shuffled on the bottom. He has protection against all that, and then he can play Lord Keeper Polkelt. The ultimate not draw 2 potions protection in place for Nalguidan. We got ourselves a game.
I love it, TJ. We'll see if Nalguidan's deck can deliver him that win, but more importantly, whether or not Fr0zen has an answer to some of this. Immediately playing the Chinvala, not going to blink. I was slightly considering the possibility of devolving missiles there. There's not many devolving missiles target I want to hit in the matchup, but this is one of them.
Yep. And we will see if Nalguidan's going to trade in this Astromancer Solarian. I don't think Solarian Prime is like so crucial to the win condition that you have to protect it at all costs, but just judging by the way his hand is right now, it seems like he is going to go for the kill here. It's likely to kill Shinvala, but not 100%. He didn't kill it. Wow! Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. That's really, really unfortunate here for Nalguidan.
Yeah, honestly though, Fr0zen not being on coin, no Sorcerer's Apprentice in hand, can't even capitalize on this, but he can Conjurer's Calling a 3-drop? Is that worth it?
Maybe? The average stat line for a 3-drop might be worth trying to play the tempo. Otherwise, it's Devolving Missiles. Oh my gosh, it just feels really bad here. But I think you gotta do something about it. Find Zixor and Generous Mummy. Oh no! There's an evocation in hand.
He's
DJ.
got an evocation with a Generous Mummy on board. What? He drew the Solarian Prime
boy.
immediately. What?
Yeah,
is
not quite what was
Hearthstone?
planned, huh?
All right. I mean, that's just kind of funny, right?
Oh, jeez. Astromancer Solarian can come down here this turn as well. And here's like the really interesting thing. This is like the perfect deck to punish the Generous Mummy because it's just got nonstop chain freezes, which means that all of your 1-mana potion of illusion becomes 0.
Well, I mean, your Turtulin Pilgrims, once they're Potion of Illusion, yeah, they cost 0. So, what? I mean, is there like a? It's not an OTK because of board space, right?
Right. Fr0zen can kill his Generous Mummy.
Sure. Spend your whole turn killing off both sides of your Generous Mummy.
Well, I was thinking of Conjurer's Calling as well, but I guess that there's still the Reborn effect, so... Yeah. Go for it!
Share the way.
Oh my gosh, that is awful. I forgot the name of the card, but it's a battle cry that gains attack.
Firehawk?
And is that a guess based on the art, TJ?
It's absolutely a guess. I don't know what that card's called.
I believe it's for how many spells are in your hand.
Wow, it actually is called Firehawk.
What
Oh,
do
wow.
you do?
Well done, TJ.
That was a complete out of left field guess based on its art, and turns out I was right.
Nice. You got it.
Sometimes you just get there, Dan.
Yeah, it's gains 1 attack for each card in your opponent's hand, but the battle cry obviously cannot activate here, so now Nalguidan isn't sweating about it.
I will crush your delusion.
And Astromancer Solarian plus Hero Power is enough to clean it up here for Nalguidan. And Fr0zen is still stuck on these 2 mana giants that are not really playable, but he finds this Ras. And I think Nalguidan might be cleared. Ooh, with Potion being put on the bottom of the deck. This is actually really interesting here from Nalguidan because he knows that Potion isn't there now. Does he need to guarantee that he draw? Oh, wait.
The game really wanted him to
what?
draw a double potion. The game really, really, really wanted him to draw a double potion.
Let me understand this clearly. So the game said you have the option of drawing this Potion of Illusion or you can pass. And Nalguidan thought about it and said, no, I don't want it because drawing Potion of Illusion means I lose the game. And so he skips. Immediately, the second card that was right on top of it was Potion of Illusion. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes. Oh, man.
Hearthstone is pretty trolly sometimes.
Yes, it is. Alright, Fr0zen going to be able to get his mana cycling down. Mana Giants are starting to come online. But honestly, feels maybe a little late for that. He is putting on some meaningful pressure, though. Like, Nalguidan is down to, what, 15 health? And he did play the...
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he cleared the board, and he's freezing himself. Drawing the Solarian Prime. I guess what's a little bit scary for Nalguidan is his turn is cut 1 turn shorter now. But I still think that he's pretty much in the driver's seat here, as long as he can deal with these mana giants. Which he totally should be able to. I assume he wants that good hard 2 defender and not want to pass up on it. And so he can just play his Tortolan Pilgrim here, freeze, or he can even play the Cartoon Defender if he really feels Super Bowl. But I wouldn't test it here. The issue is that he still wants to have the mana to be able to play the Tortolan Pilgrim plus the second one plus the third one, so he still needs to try to find a way to stall till 10 mana.
Well,
he does.
He has that.
Yeah, to the Frost Nova. So you can Tortolan Pilgrim freeze this turn, Frost Nova Cartoon Defender the following turn, then go off with Tortolan Pilgrim on 10, right?
Yeah. He can also like Frost Nova this turn.
You're in my hands.
And then go Tortolan Pilgrim, Potion of Illusion, freeze next turn, and then Tortolan Pilgrim chain the following turn. But I think he does want to fit the Cartoon Defender in there somewhere. But I like this one better. There was also the third option, Dan. Which is Potion of Illusion, your Solarian Prime, and play it again.
I like it. That's the kind of stuff that makes the YouTube highlights. So I'm down.
Yeah.
There's this tweet that Sano made where he was jokingly saying that the GMs agreed to let a lot of these matchups be decided by who has the better Solarian Prime or Puzzle Box. And of course was referencing the chaotic Bloody Face versus Just Saying series, which was just ridiculous
Chaotic.
to say the least.
Is that the word we're going with? Chaotic.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was chaotic, all right. Keen Missile just needs to hit 1 time.
Goodbye, Puzzle Boxes. May you rest in peace. Somewhere in one of Silvername's games.
Poor Silvername.
What? Poor Silvername? He's going to the World Championship.
Oh, okay. I was talking about his record.
Yeah. Poor Silvername's record in this season of Grandmasters.
Yes. Sorry, let me clarify. Poor Silvername, season 2, might have the second coming of Pheno. Polymorph. Okay. Wait. Before we do though, let's look at the other cards in the hand here. See if there's anything else we want to do. Right. So there's a Magic Trick. Definitely worth maybe looking inside what's behind the finger.
Ooh, another.
All right. How about 2 more puzzle boxes that you can't play? Oh, Mirrority is definitely an interesting idea. If your opponent plays, their Tortolan Pilgrim or... Yeah, but they have 1 mana Tortolan Pilgrims anyway, so it doesn't really do anything.
So it's just going to keep getting perpetually frozen. Hey.
Second Blizzard, which means that if he passes that, he does not. Oh, he does. He does. Pick up the Janus Barov, which means that he wants to get to a Sunweaver War Mage.
Yeah.
And then he draws either his Bone Wraith or his second potion, and then.
You're in my hands now.
And then that's that.
Yep, I think it's also that he just wants the ability to keep killing off these mana giants by being able to use Blizzard. Because if he draws a second Blizzard, he's limited to just the Frost Nova.
But he's not killing it off, which means that Fr0zen has a chance of generating Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, generating Conjurer's Calling, which can get Grom. 2 Groms.
Someday I'll be just like you.
I like where your head's
Apprentice.
at.
Oh, it says explode.
Lab Partner, Evocation. I've watched enough Grandmasters to know this is probably lethal.
Whew. Arcane Breath, 3 Power of Creation. If it summons 2 Chargers like Reckless Rocketeer, it is lethal, TJ.
Reckless Rocketeer. Argent Commander
Wow.
2.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. So close.
Yeah.
Imagine that is how Nalguidan's series ends.
Time runs out on me. What to do?
No way.
What to do?
All right, so now Fr0zen has to think, what of these cards have value? He picks the Gadget Sand Auctioneer. Nalguidan picks the Sunreaver War Mage up.
Yep.
And is ready to go.
You're in my hands now.
Tortone Pilgrim surviving on the board also is pretty relevant. It gives Nalguidan that extra Tortone Pilgrim. So it just gives him 1 more mana to play with.
Yep. So he kind of I feel like he wants to clear this board, right? Which means 2 blizzards.
Right. Potion, and then 2 more Tortolans, and then he ends the turn with 2 Pilgrims and 1 Cartoon Defender that he can use.
Yeah.
Oh, what? 6-4 Prime.
I forgot that was in there, honestly. That'll be
And
it.
Fr0zen concedes. Doesn't feel like he can win from this position. Tied series. We're going to Game 5 once more, TJ.
That was a little bit nerve-wracking, though.
It was nerve-wracking because it seems like Hearthstone really wants Nalguidan to try to find alternative ways to win by drawing his Potion of Illusion, but Sphere of Sapience has a thing or two to say about that.
Yeah.
So now we go into Druid versus Mage, and you kind of said how Mage might be one of those decks that could end up struggling sometimes. We get down to this last matchup here with Nalguidan finding a way to be able to bring it back to game number 5.
Yep. And looking at this matchup on paper, our Survival Druid should be a slight favorite against the Temple Mage. At least by the data standards, the matchup gets the higher up rank you go, the closer the matchup gets. Which, kind of obvious. Survival Druid, no matter which way you slice it, is a little bit of an easier deck to pilot, or at least its base level is. Because Overgrowth Guardian Animals is kind of like this easy thing to understand and search for. Whereas Temple Mage needs to find their wins from a little bit more complicated things. But
Right.
I do think that this one's close. It's just sometimes Survival Druid, they get to this point where they're just playing these massive threats turn after turn. And that's where the Temple Mage struggles, because they take too long to set up. And then by the time they set up, the Survival Druid has already set up as well, and they have to deal with every board or freeze every board until they win, or else they're always under threat of Survival of the Fittest just ending the game. Now, the win conditions become just, the namesake of the deck, actual tempo. Just get an early start, get Mana Giants down early on into the game, and then use your spells to kind of support these minions that you have and capitalize on that way. But again, like Broomstick, these big minions that are coming out of the deck with Guardian Animals, that can put a stop to even pretty early Mana Giants. So that's why I think that Survival Druid is a slight favorite in the matchup against Temple Mage.
Okay. That's totally fair, and I think that the Survival Druid, we've been seeing some really impressive results out of it when it's able to get that early start. And overall, I feel like Survival Druid may even have been a little bit more consistent in recent history. I'm sure if you look at the overall statistics, Malygos Druid is probably doing a little bit better right now. But just in terms of our like anecdotal evidence, it does feel like the Malygos Druid has been failing a little bit more. than the Survival Druid. Nalguidan keeps Lightning Bloom. Okay. And gets back the Mount Cellar anyways.
I still don't know how I feel about Lightning Bloom Keep on the play with no ramp in hand. Or with no guardian animals in hand. I've seen so many players in Grandmasters do it, which means logic would tell me that that's good. Some of the best players in our region are keeping Lightning Bloom with no support on the play in a variety of matchups. But Dan,
you hate it.
I don't hate it. It's just that Overgrowth and Guardian Animals have such an insanely high win rate when kept in the mulligan. So much higher than anything else. Lightning Bloom is like 4th or 5th highest win rate in the mulligan. And it just seems like I'd rather find those because it's like 5, 6, 7 percentage points higher Overgrowth and Guardian Animals in a lot of matchups than Lightning Bloom. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm willing to be proven wrong. I've seen these power plays with Lightning Bloom come out, but like Lightning Bloom is better when you do have those other resources with it, like Lightning Bloom Keep with an Overgrowth. Cool, because then you have so many more options. Lightning Bloom Keep with Guardian Animals, even better, because then you just get Guardian Animals out earlier, guaranteed.
I think that Lightning Bloom is just kind of one of those situations where I think the worse you think the matchup is, the likelier you are to keep something like Lightning Bloom. And of course, if you have like the God Hand to do like double Lightning Bloom Guardian Animals on one, then like, sure. But I understand where you're coming from, and you can kind of see exactly what you're talking about, right? Like we've kept this Lightning Bloom, and we haven't played it at all. And so it's still kind of doing exactly what you described. Anyways, Mana Giant can come out now. Fr0zen has to consider using things like Counterspell here, and he looks like he is going to go for it. Ooh, this is cute. Arcane Breath and then play your own Mana Giant. I love this. Counterspell to stop any kind of Lightning Bloom Guardian Animals. Nalguidan looks like he's in trouble. Oh no, TJ! It's gonna happen! But hey, Nalguidan is at least he has something to do. He's not 100% dead in this scenario. What do you do? I guess you drop Teacher's Pet in this spot? Or do you like think so optimistically that you're like, I'm gonna Lake Thresher and force him to trade?
I mean, Teacher's Pet is forcing him to trade.
Well, I guess it's like Lake Thresher's like, I can get taunt on this minion if I if I play it because he doesn't want it to die. Doesn't want it to sweep up his board.
Yeah.
I mean, Nalguidan looks like he is very much in trouble. I like drawing cards here to start things off with Fr0zen, though. Probably even drawing 2 extra cards off the cramp session. Because you don't have to... Nice, pick a Ray of Frost. Because you don't have to actually use Fireball this turn. You can just use it for game-ending damage.
Yeah, just use these to push through. Trade over a minion, get another Mana Giant down, and... Oh, nope. Play the one. Yep, wait till you see the outcome.
Your death rattle minions are too pathetic. I can't even trade my board in.
Yeah, this game is over. Even if he draws Innervate, he can get Guardian Animals right now. There's nothing. There's Overgrowth.
You know what he could do? He can Iron Bark this Desert Hare. I would do it just to assert dominance. Because then the Desert Hare gets to take out the mirror image of Jaina.
I concede.
That's going to do it. Now
he fought so hard. He got so far.
But in the end, didn't matter. Fr0zen takes the win, 3-2. I wasn't sure if you were going to finish it, so I decided
I was waiting for you. I was
take
waiting
the
for you.
alley-oop and slam it home. Fr0zen advances, or sorry, he wins and improves his record. Doesn't advance to a 3-1 record, but improves to a 3-1. And then Nalguidan takes his third loss of the season in the round robin group stage. Another loss puts him in that relegation bracket, and then another loss after that, TJ. Oof, we're talking about auto relegation. So we shall see what ends up becoming of Nalguidan's season. But that does bring us to our final matchup today. Some may call it the featured matchup.